Well, man, I know you're busy, though. I'm going to jump in, but I want to make sure I'm saying your last name right. Beno.
Okay. Yeah. Udrih.
Udrih.
You can just,
okay.
Udrih. Right. Yeah. It's like
Udrih.
my wife make it simpler. Like, my wife was like, it's hard to say Udrih. Like, I don't want people to try to say Udrih. And then it's like Udrih and Udra and like whatever. So let's just be Udrih. So
Udrih. All right. That's definitely easier.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm gonna jump in.
All right,
Here we go. You ready for this? All right.
Thanks again. I just want to say thanks for having me, though.
Really absolutely, man. No, I appreciate you. And, Coach O speaks so highly of you. And, he's been helping me out on some things with what we're building with my technology company. So
nice.
When he's like, man, you got to talk to my guy, my guy, Udrih. And I was just like, all right, perfect. Well,
let's do it.
Here we go. Welcome back to the Intangible Podcast. I'm excited to have an NBA guy. We've all got all these football people, and we've been in the Olympics and all that. Now we start to get into some of these NBA players, and so I'm excited to have Beno Udrih on. Man, what a career you had! So excited to dive into your story. Welcome to the Intangible Podcast. But before we really jump in, I want to kind of give a little bit of highlight of you. Former NBA point guard from Slovenia. You were selected 28th overall in the NBA draft in 2004 and 2004. Man,
I know.
Good night. Time is just like time is flying like crazy. By the San Antonio Spurs, you're a two-time NBA champion, 2005. Which was the year that I got drafted to Seattle, 2007 with the San Antonio Spurs. You played 13 years in the NBA. You played for multiple teams, the Spurs, the Kings, the Bucks, the Magics. A lot to dive into all the different teams you played for, the Knicks, the Grizzlies, the Heat, and the Pistons. But you were known for your basketball IQ, leadership, and man, you were, I remember watching you, you're a pick and roll master, man. And then you was one of the early Slovenian players to establish a long NBA career, man. And I'm pretty sure it's fun watching some of the guys that been the guy that set the standard for a lot of guys coming over to the U.S. to play at this high level. Now you went on to become assistant coach. You went on to become a player development for the Pelicans, and then also a professional scout. And now you're the head coach. Currently the head coach of the Wisconsin Herd, which is the G League for the Milwaukee Bucks. Welcome to the Intangible Podcast, my friend.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, man, before we dive in, I'd be remiss if I don't talk a little bit about, just get your thoughts on, with the Spurs being in the championship, back at it again. I know it was a tough game last night, but, do you root for that team, being that it's a team that drafted you? Because when I think about Seattle, that's a team that I really root for because they drafted me back in the day. So a lot of loyalty still lie there. So what are your loyalties lie when it comes to
I mean, like you
NBA.
said it, the loyalty is there, definitely, yes. And, but like, unfortunately, I did play for both teams. I played for the San Antonio Spurs and like a really short time with the New York Knicks. And I would say I cheer for the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, I want them to be successful. They drafted me. They, craved the path for me to be in the NBA. I mean, especially coming from that kind of organization, a lot of other teams have a little bit more respect for players coming from there, right? From that program. Right. So that definitely craved a little path for me, right? Going into the different teams. But I would say this, like with the New York, like playing against the Knicks, I just liked the fans in New York and Philly. And I know you played in both cities, the games. And I just feel like the fans they understand the game, and they appreciate the teams playing hard, especially a home team. So like, I feel like when I play in New York, like the home crowd would boo us if we did not play hard. Like it was not really about losing or winning as much, right? But like if you played hard, if you were just like, not even trying to win, that's when they boo you. Same thing in Philly, right? So I would say this. Yes, I'm cheering for the Spurs, but I do think that the New York Knicks fans deserve a championship. So
it's been a long time. It's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time, yes. So here they are in great first game, so we'll see what happens.
3, 2, 1. Parents, The recruiting process is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever face for your child. And talent isn't enough. Coaches are looking for the intangibles, like composure, coachability, communication, and leadership. And that's what Team Q measures. Get clear insights into your child's intangibles so they stand out when it matters most. Go to teamq.io and help your athlete unlock greatness.
All right. Well, man, I will say I'm a Spurs fan. I'm on that bandwagon. I got a chance to spend a lot of time with RC Buford when I retired from football. Got a chance to be around, that organization in that way. And then also, were you there with Marilyn Adams, the physio there?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay, she was my physio when I was coming up through the league, and then she took a job with the Spurs, and so I think she's still there. And so I got a chance to be around that organization for a little while, and man, just the respect and the knowledge that I learned from them as I was starting my entrepreneur career, and then having someone like RC being a mentor and and speaking that wisdom. I mean, I just can't imagine being a player around that every day. The things that you guys got to check. I mean, and again, now for you, it's carried over into coaching, and so I'm cheering them on, man. I'm excited to see how this series turns out. So
I mean, yeah, they, like you said, their organization is just one of the best, I would say. Just the way they do the all the little stuff, and like how they, like you said, the respect that they show to just people, not just like people that are famous, but just like it doesn't matter who you are. And that's what I liked about the Spurs in my career. Like, it doesn't matter what the jersey says in the back of your, shirt and on your back. Like, everybody was, the expectations from everybody was the same. When you step on the court, it's the same. When you are off the court, it is the same. It doesn't matter. You got to carry yourself the right way. You got to come in, do the work and stuff like that, do the right thing. Especially like the non-negotiables, that every team has. So like all this stuff, it definitely, but I would say like being there to start my career in the NBA, I always say it was a blessing and a curse because, I saw the organization that's successful, like you mentioned, winning 2 championships. So my expectation is like every organization is like that.
Yeah.
So when you go somewhere else, you're like, okay, great. Like I'm going to a different team with a better opportunity to play maybe. But like, but the other stuff is the same. It was a rude awakening for myself. So yeah, it's you learn quick. So yeah.
Yes, I've been there.
Yeah.
Well, Beno, we're gonna jump into your story, man. You've won, like we said, you won championships. You've played with some of the most elite players throughout your career, and now you're on this path of becoming a coach. Which version of Beno has been the hardest to become?
I would say coaching version it's harder. I always had a passion. Even when I was playing, I knew I wanted to coach. I just wanted to be close to the game and teach. But yeah, when you're a player, you're kind of in this little bubble and you just kind of focus on yourself and you just, you got to come in and get the work done. But yeah, coaching was definitely, it's a harder path, I mean, it's only, if you look at it, there's only like, so again, I just want to touch this. My personal goal is to be the first European-born ex-NBA player to be head coach in the NBA, right? But again, you only have 30 jobs in NBA, and with the expansion, there's going to potentially be 2 more jobs. That's 32. And then you only have 30 head coaching jobs in a G League, 31 with Mexico City. So that is 61 head coaching jobs right now in basketball, in a professional basketball. You have college now and stuff like that. But again, me being from overseas, not going to college, like I guess I got to get an opportunity to be assistant coach somewhere in college for me to get into that route, So yeah, coaching has been harder.
Man, to be the first, that'd be really cool. Really cool. And I love that you claim that's your goal. I love that, man.
I mean, it's like, I feel like that's what it's missing. You have some European coaches right now that are head coaches, but they did not play in the NBA. Like, and just
experience.
looking at the basket in NBA right now, there's a lot of European players that are like one of the top players in the league. Like if you look for the last, I mean, obviously Shea Alexander is not an European, he's Canadian, but like the last 6 years, 5 or 6 years, I think there has been international player that won an MVP. Yeah. So I think that's something that's needed. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, man, what I think about, you played for 13 years, and I think about my 10-year career and thinking about coaching and being in the building all the time, day in and day out. For you, what's that thing that keeps you coming back? It keeps you, wanting to put more time and being around that building day in and day out.
I always been a person that just, like, even when I was playing, I just want to help. I just want to teach, like I always been team oriented, like that's how my mind just works, because I know that like there's a rarely, like you have to be a special person to be successful on your own. But even like, let's say if you're an individual athlete, right? Let's say tennis, let's say cyclist, whatever you want to call it, like there's a team behind it that nobody, those are the intangibles, right? That nobody's kind of seeing it, right? But like, I've always been that person. How can we win together? It's like, again, like in NBA, in NFL, like you have stars and superstars, but majority of players are role players.
Right.
The intangible, like, people don't, like, people might not know anybody's name, but like, once with the playoffs comes, the little, and you're in a series, one of those role players have one game and that shifts the momentum, and you win the series. So again, like, that's something, I try to do now as a coach. I try to do it as a player. I just want to teach the game, and players not to have so many I wish moments that I had maybe in my career. If they can have 5 less, I think that gives them a better opportunity to be successful, in their careers.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think the importance of, again, there's coaches who don't play that does it at a high level, but it's an added benefit having a guy who played and also who can coach at a high level, because you always will remember those moments in games where you're like, man, I wish I would have done that. And now being able to communicate that with another athlete and hope that he has fewer of those than you is a really good position to be in as a coach. And I'm sure that's that thing that drives you back into the building day in and day out. I'm assuming.
Every day, I just want to go in there and just help. And like, I feel like I can relate to, I would say why I want to be a coach, because I see that I can be a very relatable, person, like.
So important
like
these days.
Like you said, like there's a lot of coaches that are very, very good coaches that did not play the game, right, on a level that we did. Yeah, they maybe went to college or play high school and stuff like that, and they have a very good work ethic and they're very organized. But that doesn't mean we can't do that either, But like, I think what we have as ex-players, we have the relatability. We can relate to every player. Like, like just personally for me, I came in, I was a rookie, right? Like everybody that comes in the league knew they're rookies. Then I was a rotational player. I was a bench player. I was a starter. I was a free agent. I was cut. I was traded. I was, you name it. That's who I was. You know what I mean? Then I was a vet. Then I was like a glue type of player that you see a lot now around the league. That's like older, but just trying to be kind of in the middle of coaching staff and, players, young players. So the relatability that we have, like as ex-players, I think it's very important to have on any staff. Now, I'm not saying that's, a head coaching job or whatever, but I think every staff should have that, more of it, I would say. There is some, but like, I think more is the important, but I think it's good balance is always, it's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, man, I want you to take me back to Slovenia. Like, what did basketball look like for you growing up? And, the different styles of what you get from the US and, versus a European player, what was, did you guys model your game out there the U.S., or were you guys thinking about that, or you guys really didn't care about what the U.S. was doing, just focus on yours? I mean, so many pieces to that. I think when you look at it from overseas.
I mean, you're absolutely right. It's like it's so many pieces, and I feel back then, like the only NBA game I was able to see was Seattle Supersonics. And when they had Detlef Schrempf, and we have a satellite TV, and we were getting some German, there's a DSF Sport, right? Like a German channel, and Seattle Supersonics, those are the team that I watched the most, and I couldn't really watch a lot of NBA. So yes, everybody knew Michael Jordan, and so obviously Michael Jordan is one of my favorites, and we can go to that debate some other day. But he's the GOAT.
There's no debate here. There's no debate here.
But like my dad played, and I'm kind of like a second division in Slovenia. So he was a basketball player, so I was around, and then my brother played. Also during that time, and then I was trying different sports. I was playing soccer, I was playing handball. In Europe it's pretty big. I was playing volleyball, and then like just nothing stuck, and like nothing was active enough, to where I wanted it to be, I guess. And then one time I came home, and coach just invited me to come. My brother's coach invited me to come to his first. It was like just like two times a week, just kind of like a camp. And then he moved me onto the team. And again, like I mentioned it earlier, like it's just when you join to a team, it's basically a youth program of the main team that like plays, that has senior team. And then you have just like under 20 and then under 18 and under 16 programs, and you practice every day working on the fundamentals, passing, that's like, little things, traveling, cross steps, all the stuff. Like, to be honest, like when I was growing up in Europe, when you have a jab step with the left and you're trying to go left with the same foot and lift the pivot foot, that's a travel, automatic travel back home. Here, that's not a travel, right? Especially because you dribble the ball, you lift. Nope, you can't do that. It's a cross step, or you got to dribble the ball first and then go. So it's puts you in a little disadvantage as an offensive player because you can't, explode as good. So again, like I think when you come here to the States and now you can get an extra step, I think it helps you, right? So, because again, like it's back in Europe, it's like all the time we were uncomfortable. Like, kind of like, just like play this uncomfortable way that like when it comes, because I remember like, let's say go to Luka Doncic. Like everybody was asking like, oh, how Luka's going to do. And I was like, well, I mean, he's averaging 14 points in Europe. That's like 23 in NBA right now at that time, like, or 25. Like, so even Luka said it, like, it's easier to score in an NBA than it is in Europe. And I completely agree with that, So yeah.
So how does that impact? Now it has me thinking about how does that impact when you guys play? When U.S. come over and play, in Europe. Do we play? I don't know. Do we play your rules or do you play U.S. rules? I mean,
it's hard. It's like a lot of players from here, they went there and they failed. They for whatever reason, But then a lot of them were successful because they're athletes. They adjust. They, like they want it. And some players, the ones that don't have success as they thought they will in Europe. It's like just they're not coachable. Like, because they get like, I mean, it's just so many people here, so many different people in America because it's so big. Like I said this year before training camp is like, I first ask all the players, do you think you're coachable? And everybody, I say, raise your hand if you're coachable. And they all raise a hand. I was like, well, that's what I was expecting is going to happen, that you guys are going to all raise a hand. And then I was like, okay, now answer me this. Are you coachable by every coaching style? Because on my staff, there was, 6 different coaches. Now, we all have the same vision, right? They all try to kind of teach my vision or whatever, right? Or the Bucks vision at that time, right? Like, so, but the thing is, we all deliver a different way. We have different tone in our voice. We have a different mind, how we're going to talk about certain things. So to think about it, it's not about the first little, are you coachable? Of course, you're going to say yes, right? But are you coachable by every coaching style? I think that's the important question that I think should be asked more. And then you can ask like, hey, what coaching style do you prefer? The coaching style that somebody is tough on you, always positive, always,
Right.
being somewhere in between. Like, and I don't think that players here think about it.
Yeah.
About that specific thing.
Yeah. And how I think about coachability, I think about coachability in the way, which I think is very unique to think about is every coaching style. I think about it if you're self-aware enough of what, like, are you coachable in a way that fits where you can then fit into the different coaching styles. That's what I think we here in the U.S. don't think a lot about is, what is my I'm coachable, but the one that I prefer, I'm not always going to get. And so how do I train my coachability in a way that allows me to fit into the different coaching styles? Because there are so many different type of coaching styles. That's how I think about it.
Yeah, no, it's true. And again, like, if you're self-aware, you said it. Like, it's like a lot of players here, especially nowadays, I would say more than it was, back in my era, right? But like, I feel like now it's like, it's all about the social media. Now it's all about like, oh, let me show that I'm working out and, this with the skills coaches and, and again, that's all needed and it's important.
Right.
But like you said, like, yeah, but is that going to fit into this, coaching style that this coach is actually, it's like, no, it's actually fits whatever coach you want it to be, but like, so if you're self-aware that you, can do this and that and like can fit any coaching style and like you're accept to take a role, that the team needs you at that time to do, like, that's what I think players nowadays, or, I would not even say players, but like parents should try to teach, what I mean? Because a lot of times, like, you cannot blame a 20-year-old kid, for him not to be, because again, like, I guess two parents don't have as much time anymore that they used to have, with all this, the work and it's the whole world, the way it's changing, it's hard and we just want to please our kids. And I think it's, at some point, it's like too much.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the thing is, this generation have the answers to everything, and what we lack in this generation is reps. At the end of the day, you still have to get the reps at it, and so the self-awareness of, what is your coaching style? What do you like? What do you prefer? And when you become self-aware around that, now I have to train my composure. Because there may be a guy who yells more than a guy who doesn't. And so if I train my composure, then my coachability goes up. Now I have to look at, okay, what is my thinking style? I have a guy who's super analytical, but I'm one of those kids who are, I'm just instinctual. And so if I'm self-aware of my instinctual nature and I'm working with a coach who's analytical, then I have to then know how to tune in to the analytic side of things. So, but still without taking away from my ability to be instinctual. And so those are the pieces I think that we are starting to now have to lean into more as we start looking at athletes. And that's the thing that's going to start separating the good from the great, because they're able to be self-aware of those aspects of it. Because like you said, there's all the trainers now teaching you speed and skills and all that. But this is the one piece I think has a lot of work there's a lot of work to be done there. And so
there's like a lot of, I think as the coach too, I think that those are all, I think, necessary conversations to have with players.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, hey, what coaching style, like, what do you prefer? And again, like that's a lot of time, takes a lot of time to do that. And you have to, take time for those conversations to actually happen. And I think it can help the whole organization. It helps the players. It helps the other coaches as well, just to know a little bit more on a deeper level of who players are and who they want to be and how they see certain things, so then you can, and again, it goes back to conversation, it goes back to communication, because again, people ask me, oh, what do you think it's really important in any kind of sport or organization? It's like communication, and communication is not just talking, it's about listening as well, right? And we are all criminals of that, of sometimes not listening, enough, or not, hearing enough, and all the stuff. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, man, don't get me on my soapbox about this. I love this. So I'm gonna go back, man. At what point from playing and like you said, you was playing a lot of different sports, trying to figure out what was going to stick. At what point did the NBA start? It stopped feeling like a dream and started feeling like, man, this is actually possible for me.
Man, that's a great question. And, I always tell this story. Like I was maybe 13, 14. I had like a friend that was visiting from a capital city to my small village that I grew up in, and there where I was living. And because we were good friends through basketball, and he came to visit my family and stayed with us, I think for like a week. And I had posters all over my room, like NBA posters, obviously, right? And I had like a Dream Team poster of 92 Dream Team, So again, we are watching, we're going to bed, and he's on one side, and I on one side of the room, I'm on the other side of the room, and just looking up, and just like posters everywhere. And he's like, "Do you think we're ever going to play in the NBA?" And he actually told me that once as a story because I didn't remember it, but I was like, just bluntly, "I don't know about you, but I will." And but again, that was a dream, what I mean? Like a naive kid that I didn't even know what the path how to get there or anything, At that time, I didn't even have an agent, But yeah, then just, put my head down, just continue to play, continue to practice, continue to put the work in. I would say I had a great support system, with the family, and I had one coach that saw something in me and started working with me individually a lot. So, I feel like all these intangible things that you have to do to be successful, you have to put the work in. I always call myself a sponge, especially about basketball and stuff. I just loved it so much. It's literally in my blood. So I just was collecting all the information, all the good, the bad, whatever it may be, just, and I guess that's what prepared me to be a coach as well, because I was just filtering it out, once when I heard it, I just started thinking about it, I was like, oh, that, I don't know if that is fit well for me or whatever, so yeah.
Yeah, make it work for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, now, so you kind of go from that, being a sponge and then getting and poking at your brother about, hey, I'm going to do it. I don't know about you, but I'm going to make it, to the big dance. And now you're sitting in a position where you get drafted by the San Antonio Spurs in 2004. What was the first thing that hit you when you walked into that environment?
Oh, I mean, just a little story before that. I was with an agent that did not have any partners in the United States. I don't think I would even go to the draft. I didn't even know that as a European player, you have to put your name in a draft, before you turn 22. So at that time, I'm 21. I changed the agent, and then the new agent has partner in the United States, and he's like, okay, let's give it a shot, try him out. Let's try to get him to the States, get him some workouts there and see what happens. You know what I mean? Again, I was like, okay, first time in the United States. I get to my agent in the United States, to his apartment, and he takes me to his office, shows me a mock draft on a computer. I'm scrolling down and I'm trying to see if there's my name, because he's like, okay, find your name. And there's 60 draft picks, right? First round, second round. I'm scrolling, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to see my name. I don't see my name. Again, just naiveness of me thinking that there's only 60 players or whatever, So again, and then at the end I was like, okay, my name is not here. And he's like, okay, so you do your work, showcase yourself to the best light you can. And I'll do my work, in the background, trying to get you more workouts and stuff and get you seen. And, I done that. I went out there, play hard, got to the Chicago pre-draft combine, got an MVP there. And then after that, I just had a bunch of workouts, and I was fortunate enough to be drafted by the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, and that dream of a 14, 13-year-old kid, actually did come true.
Yeah, man, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
And not just, again, an organization that's known for taking players from, who have become the organization that, really helps solidify athletes who are coming from overseas into the right environment. And you're around a guy like Coach Popovich. What made him so different as a coach? The coach of the Spurs, but also to start taking chance on, a kid from overseas.
He just had this non-negotiables that everybody has to do. Does not matter who you are, what your name says in the back of the jersey. Like, that is what we do as an organization. And then, yes, we had star players that had little room to wiggle, and to go on their own, and but they just knew how to find those guys that role players that can fit in perfectly in their system, and and that's what it took, and we knew we have enough talent. I always say this with the Spurs, 3 years that I was there, 2 years that we won the championship, right? I never heard, oh, let's get to the playoffs. Our goal was championship. And it's great. It's that's how I always think. I don't yes, let's put a talented team together, and that we know we're gonna, make to the playoffs. We don't even have to, but let's focus. And then again, if we don't win a championship, yes, there's gonna be, unhappiness, and you're not gonna be not a successful season, but I'm okay with that. But again, there's only one championship, so why are we not competing for that? Right, you know what I mean? So that's, again, when you get to this playoff, the talent most of the time wins, unless there is, you've seen it, you've been around. If a major player goes down with an injury, then, the momentum changes and the other team has a chance. But if you have talent, if you have health, most of the times in a series, you're going to win. And, in an NFL, you don't have that, right? You have one game and done in the playoffs. Right. So, again, I think that's most of the time, the NCAA has the same thing. Once when you go into March Madness, it's a one game and done. And there is surprises and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, most of the time, the teams that have more talent win those games. It's high stakes and all this stuff. So,
talent wins, and the ones who really win are the ones who have talent plus intangibles. So you think about the New England Patriots; they had talent, but they also had the intangibles. So when you have both of those working for you, man, you become really unstoppable. And I feel like that's what the Spurs had is not just talent, but guys who had the intangibles because of how the organization built that structure. And so.
Yeah, you said it. You said it about the intangibles that I'm just going to the Spurs, all the player development, it was very specific to a player. Mm-hmm. I don't remember me working on a lot of, ball handling, being flashy, and, it was very okay, this is what you're going to roll. You're going to play a lot of pick and roll. So we're going to do a lot of player development pick and roll, right? Then we're going to do different kind of shots when you come off the pick and roll, you have a regular shot. Then you have a step back, right? Then you have a pump fake. It was just very detailed and every day. So it became a habit.
Right.
So now when I got in the game, I have my move, and I always say this to the players now, listen, create a move, have a move, right? Come off the pick and roll. I don't know what you're comfortable with. Do it. Then, people watch you. Then they see, okay, this is his move. Now what you have to create is a counter move. And then create a counter for a counter. That's all you need.
Yep. Yeah.
You cannot, I know that you don't have enough time in your day to watch all three of my moves in different areas. You know what I mean?
Right. You know when it's coming and know when all three of them are coming.
Exactly. So So yeah, just like, hey, just keep it simple. Because I
Yeah.
see a lot of times nowadays players have like a lot to their game, a lot of game, a lot of moves, but they don't perfect it.
Yeah.
And like that's what with the San Antonio Spurs, what we had was the details, and then we had we were working on like certain offense for the first 5 months. I think we ran like 2 sets, and then just kind of adding to that, you know what I mean? And it's
Right.
like we became really, really good at that, because like now a lot of teams you're good at it, but you're not great at it, or you're not really, really good. So, I mean, yeah, it's San Antonio, just like the way they did that and the way they're still doing it,
Yeah.
there's something right that they're doing, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, we always have these welcome to the NFL moments. Welcome to the league. When did you feel like you truly belong? Being a role player early on in your career. When did that feeling of like, man, I got this thing. I know I belong here.
Let's see. I mean, like you said, man, like I felt like the way Spurs did it. I came in there as a backup point guard. That kind of showed me that I can, I didn't have to go right away against one of the best players because, you come off the bench, you're playing against the bench players. So,
right.
The level goes down. So, I was like, okay, I can see that. And then it helped me a lot, being with the great players like Manu Ginobili, and, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Brent Berry.
Man.
Malik
Legends.
Rose, like Bruce Bone, Robert Horry, Michael Finley. Obviously those are the players that make other teammates better. So, and you're just learning from them as well, just like I said, I was a sponge. I just wanted to learn. I was always the guy that had questions as well. And that's why I tried to tell players now, hey, if you are curious about something or if you don't know, just ask a question. Don't be quiet. Because then I think you know it. And then when you don't do it, now I'm like, oh, how didn't you do that certain thing, right? Like I thought you know it, right? Because you didn't ask. So yeah, but just once first year went by and that's what gave me a bit confidence. Obviously I was playing in the finals, as a backup point guard. And that gave me a confidence. Okay, you know what? I actually belong, you know what I mean? I had a couple good games against starting players because injuries happen, you get an opportunity to play a little bit more. And just the confidence that grew in me, during that first year, I felt like, okay, yeah, you know what, I do belong, and then continue to work, on intangibles, during the summer and just getting better and better and better and more consistent. I think that's what it's a huge part about my game, that I was very consistent. And, that's what helped me stick in the league as well. Because, I don't want to take any credit away from myself, but I think that I see that there was a lot of talent come into the league, but they don't stick because they don't have the consistency. They don't have the work ethic. They don't have the understanding of who they are. Like you said it earlier, you know what I mean? So it takes a lot. Yeah. Again, it takes a lot to stick somewhere for a long time, So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, man, I just think that feeling of belonging, once you get that feeling, it's a hard feeling to replace, man. So
it is.
Glad that happened to you early on, and sometimes it takes guys several years to figure that out. But once you get that feeling, it's hard to replace it, man. So, well, Beno, we're gonna do a quick 2-minute drill. We're gonna do just some rapid fire questions. So whatever comes to the top of your head, just let it rip.
All right.
First one for you. Give me one of the, and again, I know you play with a lot of guys, but one of your favorite teammates that you ever played with.
Oof. I don't want to upset anybody. I would say
that's what I said.
I would say Tim Duncan. I would say Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. Just the early stages, that's just the way they carry themselves. Again, Tim Duncan, just the most humble superstars I ever been around, I would say.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, there's so many that I do want to mention, Chris Bosh, D Wade, they were great as well. They knew about that it takes a team to win. So, you know what I mean? So just like there's a lot of players, But yeah, I would say Tim Duncan just because I remember one story, quick story, and then we can go back to rapid questions. Just like, being a rookie, being in that locker room and seeing how Pop was able to like go at Tim Duncan, and the reaction of Tim Duncan was like, all right. And then he did not say anything. He did not pout about it. Like he was not upset about it. He went out on the court and basically, showed. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, exactly. So, like I don't know if I can use the word that Pop used, but like I was like, whoa, he's speaking to Tim Duncan like that. Like he didn't say it. He just needs to look at me and I'll do it.
Yeah, it's like, what is he gonna do to me?
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh man, I love that. All right, one coach that has changed how you see the game.
Pop. And then I think I would say Eric Spoelstra. That was like two, and then again, a lot of teams that I played for. So again, very hard question. Why do you have those questions? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, not all of us play with so many legends and play with so many different, players as legends and coaches as legends. So you're just fortunate, man. Hey, it's. Cost of doing business when you play at that level.
I hear you.
All right. One of the toughest players that you ever had to guard.
I always say this is Steve Nash.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of pick and rolls, shifty. He knew how to get to his spots. Like he was just super smart, high IQ. It's like I would say like he was obviously on a different level, like just. But like, yeah, just very similar. I like to play pick and roll. I kind of try to watch his game and try to implement what he does. But yeah, just like the way he ran his teams, he was just very hard, like just a lot of pick and rolls. Ball gets back. Once he passes, ball gets back to him, and now you have to guard him. Like, a lot of times now you can rest sometimes, but now with him. And then obviously Steph Curry. Steph Curry was like another one, just never stopped moving. And one of the players that's been in great shape, throughout the whole of his career. So yeah, just never can relax. It's kind of different, but same as Steve Nash, just never can relax.
All right. Last one for you. What does leadership mean to you today?
What leadership means, is just, to me, it's like helping, communicating, leading young men, to be the best version of themselves, on and off the court. And like we talked about it, that is a very hard thing to do because like there's so many other voices that they have in their, from outside talking to them. And like, so I think that's what leadership means to me. Just like how, and building relationships, with these players, with your coaches, with just people in the organization, like just like that's what I think as a coach, as a head coach now, like that's the most important part. Is like not the X's and O's, but just like the communication, the leading, the man, like try to see what the certain player needs or needs to hear. And like, that's something that's like, it's challenging, but like, I'm very excited about it. I got an opportunity to do that. So yeah.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing those. We jump back in, as we start to get close to wrapping up this podcast. But as I think about, you as a player and now you as a coach, how have your perspective changed sitting in the seat as a head coach now?
Oh yeah, I mean, I give coaches. I'll give coaches a lot more credit. I know that they do the work. Again, like I would say back to like when you're a player, you're in that bubble, you're enjoying, you're loving it. You show up for practice, you practice, then you have plenty of time. When coaches, they are there all day, every day, trying to prep you, trying to make you better, and it's difficult, it's like, but I love it, like, because again, I love to help people. I love to help players be the best version they can be on and off the court. Obviously, like the intangibles, like little things that like I think they need to understand. So, just to teach those, it's it's amazing. So yeah, coaching is tough.
When you now are evaluating players, what are you looking for beyond the talent? When I'm turning on the tape, here's some things that I'm looking at. When I'm in the gym looking at you and evaluating you, here's the things that I'm looking at, because I think a lot of that is falling by the wayside, because we got social media and you only seeing the clips, the highlight, throw up the highlights, and then they're not thinking that they're watching shots, the whole things. Yeah.
Yeah. Every shot goes in and stuff like that. Right.
Right.
But I don't know. I know a lot of people probably do this, but like when I'm watching, let's say I go in the gym and I want to watch young players play, I just try to pay attention to the instincts that they have, and like the way they move. And there's the player that moves differently, obviously smooth, but different, I mean, I can see that, like, and again, like it doesn't take a lot, and a lot of players don't even know that they have that yet, because they're young. But just like the way they move, like there's a certain one play that they make. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, and again, like I remember there was one player from overseas that was at the combine, I think, in Chicago 3 years ago. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it doesn't matter really. But like he drove to the right middle, and then he kind of behind the back pass back to he drove from 45 degrees, he drives middle and just picks up the ball and throws it off the dribble behind the back, direct pass to the corner. And again, I go like, okay, that's something Manu Ginobili would do.
Yeah. Right.
But again, like, and this is not like, hey, we're just hooping, we're just having fun. That was at the combine. He knew exactly that there's a lot of scouts out there. A lot of eyes on him. Yeah. And, a lot of times the players like try to, you go out there and you hoop, but like that is an instinct that he did. He saw an opportunity, he just did it.
Right.
I don't think he practiced that. I don't think he works on that pass. And there's I was like, okay, I like him. Like, and the thing is, I think I can, help him, I can help him to be a better player than he is today. You know what I mean?
Right.
So just like little stuff like that, like, if you play the right way, obviously the instincts, stuff like that. I mean, we can talk about this for a very long time.
I love it,
just
man.
Like it's just little things like that you can see that, like, obviously, like, there's a lot of these players on this level, they are all talented. You know what I mean? But they have something else, that you can kind of point out to them if you do get a chance to work with them, and then, tell them about them. And tell them about what they did and what made you excited about coaching them. And then just, so they see that, okay, you were actually watching me. It's not like you just, I'm just here because of a random thing. No, you're here because we wanted you, because we were watching you, because we were scouting you, because we like the way you play and all this stuff. So it's just like little things that I just try to see and, And then I share them. So.
Well, I got two more for you. Two more questions for you. The last one, I mean, the first of those two is when you think about your upbringing and you think back to, playing in the NBA, but also now coaching. If you had to go back and talk to that younger self, which I know we have a hard time reflecting and thinking back to these areas as athletes, as competitors, but if you had to go back and talk to your 15, your 17-year-old self, what would you say to him?
I would just say, like, if you have 30 minutes of your time, because you have a lot of time once you're a professional athlete, you have a lot of time on your hands.
Right.
Just do 20 minutes or 30 minutes of extra. Just go shoot free throws. Just go dribble the ball, 30 minutes. I mean, it's not that much. You know what I mean? And you know it as a professional athlete. Those 20 minutes, you do it every day, they start stacking up. And then you start separating. And that's what I would tell players, young players, whoever is listening, you know, like, do it because you want it, not because somebody is telling you to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? The extra work. And it doesn't have to be mentally draining. It doesn't have to be physically draining, but just do something. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, I love that. All right, last one for you. We've talked a lot about intangibles. I want to know, what were the intangibles that made you who you are throughout your career?
The intangibles that I worked on, I mean, it's just like a lot of fundamentals things, you know, a lot of boring things that I just worked on, you know, because of the support system, because of who my coach was, you know. But I mean, there's so many intangibles now, thinking back, now that I'm at this age, thinking back, that I wish I would know about, and, you know, doing back then, you know, eating right, you know, the little habits, you know, to focus on, I mean, that was one thing, just like working on fundamentals. Fundamentals, I think it's a foundation of, you know, who you are, who am I today. So again, like, I think that's what helped me really be successful. It's prepared me and gave me the good foundation to be where I was, you know, during my career playing, and now here. So I don't know if that's a good answer, but, you know.
The reason why I ask that question is because we don't think about, you know, what are your intangibles? You know, we hear people say this kid have good intangibles. And, you know, Archie Manning said to me one time, you know, I know that you'll be a first round draft pick once they see your intangibles. And all I thought about is, I work hard, you know, I show up. But there are so many other intangibles that come along with who we are, based on our foundation, based on where we come from. You know, communication. Are you an instinctual player? You know, are you resilient? Are you tough? Or do you have grit? And so all those things that really builds your foundation, it's important to really, in my mind, it's important to start to recognize those, because those are the things that helps you make these transitions a lot smoother. It doesn't make it easy. Yeah. But when you understand your intangibles, it makes your transition a lot easier. That's why I was saying, when you talk about someone's intangibles around composure, you know, the self-awareness of, I need to work on my composure because I'm going to deal with a lot of different coaches. So I can make sure if I have good composure, that means that my coachability is going to go way up, because now I know how to handle a guy who yell, even if it's not my style, but I know how to deal with it. And so that's why I think those things are important, because it is the foundation that we carry over into different environments. And now you can just add more learned behaviors to it. So
no, I agree. Like that little thing that you just said about being coachable, you know, like, and somebody screaming, like, again, there's different coaching style. You need to understand that. But at the end of the day, you are there for a reason. That means that somebody liked you. You know, somebody liked what they saw, and, you know, it all comes from love. I think this in human nature, it's to love, not to hate. Right. You know what I mean? So just to understand that, and just understand that, like, I'm here to help you no matter how I do it, you know, and, you know, I think that's important to understand. And then the other thing that I would mention too, like, that just came to my mind, I kind of reminded myself, the little intangible that I think it's important for every athlete: work on your balance. That is, like, I mean, just like, you know, that's one thing that, like, just like one specific detail about the athlete that they need to have, all of them, it's the balance, you know, and like,
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's one thing.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah. Well, Beno, man, I really appreciate you taking time. And and for the audience, I'm going to apologize to Beno, because it's been an up and down. Internet went out, you know, got people knocking at the door. And so I really appreciate your patience and also being able to stay engaged with this conversation, man. Love your story. Love what you're doing. We're here rooting you on, man. I really appreciate you joining me on the Intangible Podcast.
Appreciate you for having me, man. Really appreciate it.